Happy Friday, everybody. Today is Friday, August 15th, 2025. I'm Sweets. This is Excelencia, and this is our weekly or bi-weekly call where we check in on El Niño, the three-part series. We're on part 2 with El Niño Maravilloso. How you doing today, X?
I'm doing great. Happy Friday. Taking it all in this week. Previewed the next song. It's on the platform already. I was experimenting with that. I got a little motivated last week because another big artist in the Latin world created his own version or platform of Maravilla City, but in his style, his vision. And I had people reaching out to me, and they were like, "Man, you gotta keep going." Or the second type of people were telling me like, "You gotta build something like that for artists," or like, "Hey, we should do that for artists," because they're kind of seeing the vision of like artists kind of building their own platform or their own micro site, whatever they want to call it. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and I'm like, I gotta share that with Sweetman on this coming call.
Can you share both of those? Are you able to share your screen and show us how you added the new song and this other artist you're referencing?
Yeah, let's see. I haven't used this in a while. I'll do the window. Let me know if that works.
We got you.
Nice. Okay, so I wanted to preview the upcoming single. So when you land on Maravilla.city, you go to new releases. That's where the music player pops up. And you'll notice right away that I updated this cover art to be more general because I had the single cover art for Fenty, which was the first release. So I added the preview for the upcoming one. It's called Fin de Semana, FDS. It comes out like in 2 weeks because I got something else coming up this week, so I didn't want to like clash anything. So I went ahead and so we got like a 30-second preview on there of the upcoming song. But yeah, I did that on Untitled. Let's go to the project, and there it is. So it's as easy as just add track. You can just go ahead and add your music file. You can also add notes. So that's pretty cool. I can replace audio. So once I want the full song, I can just replace the audio, put the full song. You can play around with stems if people want to play with that. Got some insights here.
So you already got 6 plays. How's the analytics on Fenty, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, let's see. I haven't even checked, to be honest. Some 8 plays there.
Okay.
I think because the Fenty was out everywhere the day that I was able to release the actual song and put it on the platform and stuff. So I think that's why the Fin de Semana has a couple more. I mean, it was just a quick story post. So I'm sure if I went a little harder on like, hey, like I put another preview of the song or kind of played around with it or something like that, that could be a lot of fun. Cool. The other artist, let's check that out because I felt like I went, but it was gated actually. So
it wasn't public.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe they changed it. There it goes.
Correo electrónico.
Yeah, so you see it's gated. Interesting. Oh, it's a whole damn registration.
Wow. Okay, so they don't make it easy to get into the artist site. You can't just click the X and get out.
Nope, it's not letting me do anything.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's a lot of friction. You really have to want it if you're willing to give all that info.
Right, exactly. I think at his level,
like giving it all.
I want to say at his level, he's able to convert more this way and kind of capture that for himself. I think his story behind it was he's frustrated with the way that they basically have him release music, and so he's been sitting. Yeah, he's with a great label actually, but I think it's that he's sitting on so much music that he was trying to find a way to share more of it without kind of taking the traditional path, like having to go on Spotify, pitch the music out and all that stuff. So I think that's why he built this. But if you notice, it has a lot of the same kind of inspo behind, what I want to do with Maravilla City and where I want to take it.
Okay. Interesting. So that's a new site from Eladio?
Eladio, yeah. And it's interesting because I want to say maybe 2-3 months ago he released a full length album, the on Spotify, on all that stuff. And so like a few months after, he's like, hey, I announced this, these are my archives, come in here, listen to new music, view some videos, join my community. So similar idea, similar vision. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm
It
like, that's
makes me think of the sound pivot, and like David pivoted to working with, what was it, David James Blake to do
yeah.
that, and it sounds like a similar thing to what he is doing on his own site, and you are also doing on your own site using Untitled, and that just feels to me more affirmation of the future of music is not a VC and a founder building a platform, and more artists like yourself having your own vision and building it yourself, not depending. Maybe you're using it for embeds, like your Untitled player or a
right.
Spotify embed or a WhatsApp button, but you're building your own experience. And the most you're relying on a platform is for an embed that is easily swappable for a different piece if they try to charge you, or if they die, or they become malicious in some sense. And it maximizes your independence and your ability to hyper customize it if you want to add on that major page of info to give a password, your birthday, your social security, your credit card numbers, or if
Yeah,
it's more like yours where it's just come in, click the play button, and I'll be tracking some info on the back end. And if you want to buy, you can. But you and Aladio have both had the freedom to design it however you want without having to wait or ask for permission from your label or from a platform or anybody else, which is interesting to me.
100%. Yeah, I think that, remember, I think one of our first conversations building this out is like, I wanted it to feel free to play. So you go in and there's nothing stopping you from clicking or playing around with everything that's there. That was important to me. And I think at one point we even had the Lalo pop up to capture at least email or a number. And that was optional, right? It wasn't like this is your only way in.
Right.
So I think I'm glad we kind of pivoted to just come in and just play around. Like that's really the idea behind it. And that's how I would build another experience if I had the chance. I think I would do something similar where it's like, come in, have fun, play around. If you want to connect wallet, if you want to sign up, it's optional. Supporting, there's different ways to support me there. So that was kind of the idea.
If you don't have another place you want to take it, I'd love to hear if you are open to talking about your thoughts on ERC20 and the maps that you've been sending.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can talk about that. We can do that. Man, so I shared my first venture in crypto as an artist. So I got into crypto 2017. 2018 I started, that was like when everything kind of died out a little bit, but a lot of artists were exploring things, right? So you had people doing like crowd funds using ERC20s, or you had like, I want to say that was like pretty common then, right? Because that cycle was ICOs and ERC20s, and sort of this cycle has been resembling that. So I think that's why we ended up at coins, whether it's for content or brands or communities. And we got a hint of that in 2021, 2022, but like we're kind of full circle back again. So anyways, I had a creator coin on Rally, very similar to what's happening on Zora. uh, it wasn't as open, and we were kind of locked into that system because it was on a side chain, so it wasn't even a full L2 or anything like that. Yeah, so we were kind of locked to the platform. The onboarding was pretty easy because people would sign up like email, or just very familiar. They would go in there, and then we could start kind of playing around. People could buy, sell, they can transfer. I can send coins to my followers, my users, all that stuff. So there's a lot of similarities. But even then, I imagine like there were like coins and music, but it was all connected to like royalty shares, right? So they were literally fractionalizing things. But going back to your question, I've been thinking a lot about like, if we build the full album experience, right? The way to support the album, like direct to fan, you collect or purchase, what could be the sort of structure, the model, the standards we use to do that? And I was thinking last year, I started thinking a lot about like an album coin. And then we're sort of like, you have Coop Records exploring like song coins. So I've been thinking a lot about that. When I crowdfunded actually in 2022, it was the Infinite crowdfund on Mirror. We raised 17 ETH. The people that contributed, it basically gave them the Infinite token, which is an actual coin, ERC20. But they also received NFTs to represent like their membership, right? So the coins were kind of like the total amount of coin ownership they had in a sense, and the NFTs were like the tier or the membership level. So it was like kind of using both. It was confusing at first, but now when you kind of think about it, we're kind of there where people have coins and NFTs and they're kind of like creating this hybrid. So I've been thinking a lot about doing something similar for the album, playing around with the hybrid. Like I know some people will be like, no, you got to go all in on one or all in on other. But I feel like we can play with this idea a bit, and whether it's every song as a coin or just an album coin and the songs themselves are represented as a 1155s or something, right? I think that could be interesting playing with those dynamics. So that's kind of where my head is at. It's either the idea I gave you or kind of flipping it and reversing it, simplifying it a bit. The idea of a pre-sale or an initial album offering, I think that's pretty interesting because you have people coming in and supporting from day one and sharing in the upside and seeing that grow and becoming a part of it. I think that's interesting as well. So I'm kind of, my head is all, it's all over the place, but I kind of have a clear idea of what I want to do, like the vision for it, I guess.
Did you see Jacob, the CEO of Zora's video that was posted by Base on tokenization, not monetization?
Yeah, I do like that phrase. I do like that.
Okay, I was curious of what you thought of that framing, because I feel how I've been building and how we have kind of set up has been, the goal is to get 100% of revenue flowing from the collector to you.
Mhm.
And tokenization is not that model. Tokenization is market cap. The creator owns a certain portion of those coins. The creator does get some of the swap fees on the liquidity pool. What were your thoughts on that take or that video from Jacob on tokenization, not monetization?
Yeah, I do like that framing because I think it explains the model a little better and it kind of gets people going like, okay, like you can like both things can be true and you could explore both things. So you could go the tokenization route for all its uses, but you can still, do your collectibles or do your, your selling, your direct pure sales, right? Like that's still a thing. You can still do that. Because if you think about it on YouTube, it's similar, right? You're monetizing, sharing an ad revenue from the platform. So that's the monetization or tokenization. But those same people are still selling merch. They're still selling products. They have other types of, things going on. And so those are
Mm-hmm.
those pure sales. So I don't think it should be, one or the other. I think artists, creators, they can, you don't have to change your business model or your vision. Like I still think that direct to fan, pure sales, hard tickets. I think those things are still going to exist, right? And they're real things, right? Again, going back to coins, it's attention. It's more of a currency. So there's things to play around with. I do still like the idea of like building a digital economy, micro economy, whatever you want to call it, around yourself as a brand, as an artist, as a community. I think there's something there. You just have to be very careful with it, and how you frame it, how you position yourself, and all that stuff. But yeah, I feel like that's sort of the things that get my head going, and I kind of lean that way for certain things. But I understand both sides. So
For the assets that you're rolling out in this album, what are your thoughts on what gets tokenized versus what
Mhm.
gets monetized slash made into a collectible? You said the album, the creator, individual songs. Are those the main groups of assets, or are there other groups that I'm missing?
Yeah, so that's a good question because see how it's already kind of getting a little messy. But like, even when I did the crowdfund, let's say we had the Infinite token. That was the name of the album, right? Infinite. So the album was in a sense tokenized, or that idea of the album, all that stuff. But then I still had a creator coin, which was
Mm-hmm.
the one on Rally. And so if you supported, the Infinite crowdfund and you had the Infinite album token representation, you can go on Rally, sign up, and I would airdrop you. I think the ratio was pretty similar in my creator coin. So that was my artist coin. The album is like you have the artist and then you have the album here, album A, B, C, and then that Merkle tree starts kind of growing and expanding. So that's how I was picturing it. So, obviously Zora, everyone's coining content. So that could be anything like visuals, that could be anything, I don't know, blueprint sketches, stuff like that. Then you have if you notice, I haven't tokenized a song yet, whether it's, a collectible or a coin, right? I haven't done that yet. And so I feel like if I put a lot of thought and intention into it, I can do something pretty cool. So I'm kind of glad that I haven't because I can explore what model to pursue for it. So yeah, you have sort of the Zora, like you saw Doodles just did their Zora coin profile,
Their creator coin.
right? But like now I'm like, that's exclusive to Zora and that flywheel that they're trying to create. But then
Mm-hmm.
Doodles just launched their official coin on Solana not too long ago. Dude, right? So that's their Solana SPL 20 or whatever. I think, I don't know what it's called, but so that's like, so okay, so that's your profile. Then you have this sort of brand coin, Pengu thing, but then you still have your, your collectibles and your NFTs, PFP, right? So now they have a ton of things going on. I'm
Right.
wondering how they plan on positioning that, and not treating it like, is it another revenue stream? Is it another product? Is it like, what is it really, right? And then I'm sure people are kind of feeling confused. I'm not a Doodles holder, so I wonder how a Doodles holder feels. Like, hey, I have the NFT, I got the Dude coin, but I collected stuff on early Zora, and now you did a Doodles coin on Zora. Like, that's kind of confusing to me.
Okay. Interesting. Do you already have your creator coin on Zora, or have you held off on doing the creator coin?
Yeah, I have it. I have the profile, Zora profile creator coin.
Okay.
Right?
Interesting.
Because like
Yeah.
my thinking is also like, what if in the future I kind of want to, what if I did want to tokenize my artist brand, but I wanted to do it on my own terms, and I didn't
Hmm.
want it tied to my Zora, the Zora flywheel thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are just, random thoughts, not anything I'm currently working on, but I like to think about those things. Like, would I do it separately? How would I do it? How would the allocations look like, the mechanics and stuff like that? So they make
Those
it
are the
easy.
questions that I have because I see your map and now I'm like, okay, overall it makes sense. I think working closely with Coop, did you see Coop's video that he just put out today?
No, I didn't.
Coop just put out a video of him doing a DJ set and he flashed on the screen the song coin of the song that he was DJing. And it
Okay.
made me think like, oh wow, that's an interesting model for DJs because DJs just use coins from other people. They use songs from other people. And
Right.
if the model is song coins moving forward, if I'm a DJ, I'm constantly looking for ways to monetize my musical career. And if I'm about to make a DJ set, if every song that I'm putting in has a coin, something that I could be doing with the visuals is what Coop did and flash the chart of that song up on the screen as I'm listening at a festival. I get to see the price. Maybe I go in and FOMO buy the song. I didn't heard the song before and now I buy it. The DJ gets a little bit of early access to that, knowing that he's going to make his DJ set. He buys the coins and then shill. It's fill then shill is the model. You fill your bags first, then you shill it to others so that you can dump on them. And like the pros and cons of that, it is what it is. That's how
Right. That's
trade.
that's what I wonder. If you do something like that, you're at a festival, it shows up on the screen, what are people's reaction? Like,
What is the reaction?
they might
Right.
just think it's a visualizer. They might just think it's like part of the video of their song. Like, okay, but
Exactly.
maybe those
It
who know
becomes
it
part of
think
the
like,
visualizer.
yeah, like
You do a visualization of the chart. You can have like put the chart on and then have the green and red bars kind of bounce as a
right
visualizer. There's a
to the
lot of
song.
it adds a lot of creative space to your capacity as a DJ to do some things. Um,
You just
I'm
gotta
curious
edit
now
the
of what your mental model is of how you're going to be doing those coins. Like, we talked a little bit? Are you thinking of dropping the song coins on Zora? I know
Mhm.
that they don't have, from what I've heard, you can't upload audio, and so you either do a
Mm.
video or we build our own client to upload song coins. Because I don't know if that already exists or not. It's an ERC20. Anybody can use the SDK and
Yep.
upload whatever metadata they want. So
Yep.
one option is I build a little page for you so that you can upload your song coins onto Zora, and it becomes that as a platform of, hey, you can't go to Zora to upload songs.
Mhm.
Excellencia needed this for his album. We built the upload page for him to be able to upload song coins into his own creator profile that he already has so that they're attached to his creator coin. In addition to that, any other musician can come in and use this so that Excellencia now has the platform to coin song coins. It's open. Cooprex is closed and curated. They're doing their own fork of Doppler. Um, you had mentioned potentially building directly on top of Doppler. I have not looked at building directly on top of Doppler. To be honest, Coop is talking directly with the Doppler team, and we've been building on the front end side. But as far as I know, we're just using the Doppler SDK, and I haven't looked too deep on what it looks like to build directly on Doppler. If we did that, you might be able to skip some of the fees because building on Zora, you're paying Zora a little bit to get that flywheel and to build on their ecosystem.
Right.
Um, what have you thought of which platform you would want to use for your coins? The options so far are Zora, building directly on Zora, which is on top of Doppler with their own bells and whistles, building directly on Doppler, which seems like what everybody is kind of building on. Paragraphs building on Doppler, Cooprex is building on Doppler. Zora's building on Doppler, or something else that's outside of the Doppler flywheel ecosystem?
Yeah, because when we chatted a bit, I kind of mentioned the idea Estrella. We did something similar, but we used sound essentially, and we were able to pull from sound. Even though we did a little bit of Zora too because of the visuals, but the core was sound as
Sound.
NFTs. So I think it's something similar. If I'm curious if we were to use Zora and still built something more custom, if like we did for Estrella, same idea. I'm curious if a lot of the baked in tokenomics and mechanics stay if we do that. You get what I'm saying? I'm assuming just like in sound, like the splits were kind of taken care of in there. So if anyone bought on the Estrella front end and they collected, the splits were still reflecting because sound uses splits protocol or whatnot. So I also like that composability of like everything's baked in. There's some mechanics there. I think albums have a long sort of lifetime value, right? So having that album coin vested for the 5 years, for example, they have that kind of baked in as well. Like I've been thinking through those things as well. Like there's already some things baked in that could be interesting for an album release, or an album offering. Um, and yeah, the other thing that was kind of I was thinking through was the idea of like a pre-sale, some sort of pre-sale function or something, just to like if you can raise some funds in the process and you're able to use some of those funds not only for collaborators and people that are involved in the project, but then using some of it to grow the project itself, whether it's more content, visuals, marketing, whatever you kind of decide to fund or invest. I think that could be super helpful, because then people are seeing that you're like actively working the project. It's not just like you made some money and you kind of let it die out. You can build something with purpose.
Yeah,
So yeah, I've
agreed.
been thinking through those ideas. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it
I
looks
also
like
wondered if the lift
looks
is
like it,
less. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
it does look like you can build directly on Doppler, launch standard launch token with governance. They have all these docs that
Mm,
I've slowly been reading through for the work I'm doing with Cuprex because we build on top, and custom quote. I don't know what these beneficiaries are. It looks like percentages going to treasuries versus protocols,
mm,
pairing. I think everybody in the creator economy is slowly, as a result of the Zora pivot, is having to now, what is a market cap? What is vesting? All these
mhm,
financial terms that we never really thought of before. I am slowly having to, I always said before, like, I'm not a trader and I don't know this stuff. And I feel like
right.
now this cycle, I'm now being thrown into the deep end of like, you have to figure this stuff out and you have to know it
Mm,
because musicians like you are using it. And I'm excited to keep building with you to see how much you to see what you're going to do with it. Like, do you build directly on top of Doppler? Do
right.
you go on top of Zora? Do you, for some reason, decide you want to do? I get scared of wanting to deploy my own ERC20 because the team on Doppler seems to be big brains around liquidity pools and Uniswap. A
Mhm.
lot of the team from Doppler came from the Uniswap core
It was
team,
fun,
so
yeah.
they feel like to think of deploying my own ERC20 and not using them feels the same as when creators tell me like the Shine team. Like Shine has built their own smart contracts with
Mm,
Sol and Verese and Gonzalo and Musica W3. They built their own smart contracts and like power to them. But as they're still in the prototype phase, and as they get more attention, people are going to say like, well, how do I airdrop? And if they haven't
mm,
built it, they're going to have to redeploy their contract. How do I
got it.
do access? How do I do collective drops? Like all these things that Zora already considered.
Yeah,
If you didn't, if they haven't already considered it in their V1 of their protocol, they're going to be behind what everybody has already been experimenting on for the past 5 years.
right,
And so
right.
that's the same place I feel like with the coins is it's like you could absolutely deploy your own ERC20.
Mhm.
Have you thought have you really thought through what value you would get out of deploying your own
Right.
ERC20 as opposed to building on top of the team that worked at Uniswap,
Mhm.
left Uniswap to build Doppler, has
Agreed.
Zora building on top, Paragraph building on top, Cuprex building on top. Like why you have to be really intentional if you decide not to build
Agreed.
on the stack that even if there's a fee associated. I think there's a lot of justification to the fee, knowing how much experience and time and intentionality they put into what they built. And I'm
100%.
mostly just sharing this with you if you haven't already seen the docs, so that you I don't know any of this. I'm just seeing these pages for launching a token for the first time on this stream. And if you want to dive in more and think of the parameters that we could be tweaking, if we decide to build on Doppler, if we decide to build on top of Zora, they have their own docs and some of this is already baked in and we don't have to think about it. And if you decide, actually, I want to tweak some of the things that Zora has already hard coded, we go a level deeper and go into Doppler. And if Doppler doesn't have all the things you want to tweak, we talk what are the things that they don't have and where do we go if they don't offer what you need.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you're saying. I think that's important. I think, again, similar to Estrella, right? Why go and kind of do all these custom smart contracts and things when they had already a lot of stuff built in and we just wanted to build on top of that? I think that was, and again, it goes to show what the possibilities, right? What we're capable of doing on top of all of these things, and not trying to be like, I'm not trying to build a competitor to Zora or Coop Songcoin things, right? I'm kind of doing this for my particular vision and project at the moment. So yeah, I always think about it like that. Also, it's like, I think I've shared it before, like it's a shared space. If people are familiar with certain models and structures and things, I think that's less work on us to kind of educate them on it. Like, hey, yeah, it's gonna have its differences, but it's something you're already been probably playing with for the last year. I think that's important too. And yeah, just building on top makes it interesting and makes it pretty exciting. Because again, like it's already a unique project, right? So kind of using the tech, we can play around and do some things. But yeah, I'm kind of thinking through the exact model and being careful. Like you said, like everyone's kind of shifted here, but my thinking is I want to make sure that I'm not doing it because of that. That I'm not doing it because of the market and where it's at. Because again, in 6 months we could be somewhere else, and everything kind of just dies out a little bit, and it's kind of like, okay, let's take a step back, right? Like, so that should be interesting as well to see what happens when things are not, when the flywheel slows down or the
when
hype.
Zora's not pumping, when the token price is not going up.
And all these things. Like, I've been here since 2017, and like I'm not the most OG, but I've seen all that shit, and I'm like, you know what? I could be patient.
Something I appreciate about you. I know we're already over time and we have not talked about technology. So is there any technology that I need to be working on so that 2 weeks from now it's built in? Is there anything that's missing from the site, or is the list that we wrote a couple weeks ago still accurate and I just need to make sure that I'm building those things?
I will say the list is accurate. The only thing I would hold off on is inventory, because I feel like that could be a great space potentially for a new experience, kind of like what we were just talking about
with coins,
or how we decide to put out the album itself, like the full kind of like, I don't know why I think inventory could be a good use of that, because that's literally like you're collecting something, adding it to your inventory as a collector, as a fan. So I'm thinking maybe we can hold off on that. Everything else to me seemed like definitely we should work on it.
The subscribe WhatsApp, skip inventory for now. Spotify embed or merch shop, which one is more ready to be integrated?
I'd say merch shop for sure.
Keys.shop.
Yeah, like is that shop. We should integrate that. It's password protected at the moment. We're working on it, but if we have it there, once it goes live, again, another part of the experience we could have ready.
Okay, give me a couple hours. I'll do that today, and I'll send you a message on WhatsApp when I get those live.
Yeah, I'll keep thinking through how a model or what we can use for the actual full on album release, because I feel like that hasn't been explored just yet. So I'm curious to see where we can take it.
Do you want to try wrapping up the stream today, or do you want me to take it home?
Go ahead, take it home.
Okay. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to give us a like and a repost so that other musicians can see how La Keys is thinking about doing a new album rollout with all of these token standards. Leave a comment down below if you've already used the site. And if there's anything missing from the site, let us know. We'll catch you in 2 weeks.